But what we found is that even the clients that were able to get leads and bring in work and sell jobs, it was like a flash in the pan. Like they would have success and then they would fizzle out, or they would get overwhelmed and self-combust because they didn't have the business fundamentals to be able to sustain that growth. And a lot of that actually came back to the head trash and the self-limiting beliefs that they had. Hey, this is Michael Hickman, founder of Painter Growth, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. So in this episode, it's actually a crossover episode. So I was on the Aleph Holdings podcast and ended up having an awesome conversation with Mr. Haakon Hansen. So with that being said, I think you guys are going to love the conversation that we had, get to know me a little bit more, some of the questions that he's able to ask. He's a really good interviewer, actually. So buckle up, enjoy the show. And you guys know what to do. Have a great one.
Mike, hey buddy, thanks for coming on the show. Okay, the first question is explain your title more. You just started. You're learning Spanish. Tell me about that.
I just wrote it. I thought it was funny. El maestro de negocio.
Oh, okay. So you got the accent and everything you're working on there.
Yeah, I spoke French growing up. Well, not spoke it. I did French school, so I learned it and I can still speak it. But I decided, hey, I need to learn Spanish for multiple reasons. Number one, I love traveling to Spanish-speaking countries. Number two, I have like 10 employees who are Spanish speakers. And number three, we have like hundreds of clients who are Spanish speakers. And so, number one, my clients and my team find it really endearing that I'm learning. It's like, that's cute. But also I just love learning. Duolingo is incredible. I actually just started weekly one-on-one lessons. I found a guy on Fiverr who's like just teaching me. It's like $15 for an hour with this like legit teacher. And so I'm practicing speaking more. He's like, yes, last week was my first one. He's like, hey, tell me about your morning, like in Spanish. I'm like, I've been doing Duo for 6 months, but like, okay. Esta mañana yo comemos los huevos y los café negro. So I'm like, this morning I woke up or I had eggs and black coffee. And like, he's like, you got a lot of work to do, but that's why I'm working on it.
Dude, that's fantastic. It's funny, to your point on like the clients and whatnot, that, kind of a small thing, but I think a big contribution to Paris Painting, which is, one of the businesses, in the Aleph ecosystem. But people, or maybe you've heard Jason talk about this, but one of the things that Jason did that I think stood out to subs was he learned Spanish and he would speak Spanish to the sub crews. And then Mark, who's now the president of Paris Painting, he started as a project manager and he used Duolingo and he just taught himself Spanish and like being able to connect with people. Like they wanted to work for Paris Painting. Like the best subs in town who were Spanish speakers wanted to work for Paris Painting because like they could connect, they could have like deeper conversations. It's like to take that on, it can have a huge impact. I'm sure like you're able to connect. I mean, you're still, maybe it's a little early, but
it is a little early, but even just like starting and the thing about language, and obviously this has nothing to do with business, but like the thing about language is you start learning how other people relate to various words and how their language is structured and how they use nouns and verbs and things. And it just really opens your eyes to other people's like intellect. Other people, like you only get their value, like your perception of their intellect based on how good they can speak English. But like they can't speak English that well. They might be a super, super smart person. They just haven't learned that much English yet. But you aren't able to connect that yet. Totally. And so I really like learning other languages for that reason.
Man, that's good. That's good. Okay, maybe let's do a little introduction. So for folks who are not familiar with who you are, who is Mike Gore Hickman?
Yo estoy el maestro de negocio. No, so I'm founder of paintergrowth.com. I ran a painting business back in the day. Got to a multiple 7-figure run rate by the time I was 22. Shut that down, had to move out of state because I followed my wife, my girlfriend at the time. She moved with her job, and I'm like, love is real. And so I followed her. We're still together. We just had our 9-year anniversary last week.
There you go.
Which is sweet. We got 2 beautiful little girls. Had an opportunity to work for a software company, help them grow from a startup to over 10 million a year in a couple of years. So that was really cool. And then painting called me back. And in October 2021, I started up what is now paintergrowth.com. And since then, we've helped over 600 painting contractors grow their businesses. And actually, we've just revamped our mission. We've never really formally announced it yet. We're gonna figure out how to do that. But our new mission and our vision is to bridge the gap between business education in the painting industry, right? And there's over 200,000 independent painting contractors in the United States. The vast majority of them have a high school education or less, and they're trying to run business. They're trying to grow 7-figure businesses, right? A ton of them are trying to grow big businesses, but they have no idea how. And business is hard if you don't have a foundation. So we're trying to bridge that gap, teach more people how to run a business, because it's not that hard once you learn. And what's happened with that is like we've been able to actually lift hundreds and hundreds of painters out of otherwise tough economic situations because we show them how to make money, how to provide for their family, and that's a really cool thing. And we love doing it.
Dude, that's awesome. What like up to this point, what's the scope of what you help people with? Like, what are the what all are you what topics are you digging into with folks, helping folks with?
Yeah, good question. So initially, when we first started it, you ask, are you familiar with like being problem aware, being solution aware, like that concept? So the problem that most painters thought they had is that they needed leads, right?
Sure,
and so that's kind of the premise in which we started marketing, and because we asked them like, hey, what's your biggest problem? What's your biggest problem? Because that's what everyone says when you're trying to start a business. Ask people what their biggest problem is and solve that problem. Like, okay, great. We started asking them, we need leads. We need leads. We need leads. Okay, so we solved that. We taught a whole bunch of marketing things. We taught people how to scale up door-to-door teams, how to run their own Facebook ads, how to talk to property managers and get commercial repaint work, among like I think 10 or 11 other systems. And those work really, really great if you do them. But what we found is that even the clients that were able to get leads and bring in work and sell jobs, it was like a flash in the pan. Like they would have success and then they would fizzle out, or they would get overwhelmed and self-combust because they didn't have the business fundamentals to be able to sustain that growth. And a lot of that actually came back to the head trash and the self-limiting beliefs that they had. And the idea of self-limiting beliefs in a largely male-dominated kind of macho industry is a challenging one to really like lead with, because most people are like, hey, I don't have any self-limiting beliefs. I just need leads. But then as you start like talking to them and seeing how they operate their business, you realize that, yeah, they actually do have a lot of head trash, and that's keeping them back. And they're never going to be able to get out of that cycle, that kind of book a job, do a job cycle, until they deal with that head trash. And so that's unlocked like a whole new level of growth for us and for our clients, since we've been able to kind of address that a little bit better.
Interesting. How do you help people be self-aware of their head trash?
Oh man, how much time we got? So I think the first thing is awareness. Like if you're not aware of the problem, it's impossible to solve it. So the first thing that we do is, every time we bring up a sensitive topic like that, or like door-to-door marketing or things, it's like we're very careful about how we introduce it, because we want to introduce, or even like financial frameworks or like financial literacy, things like that, because people have a lot of preconceived notions. Even when you say the term business coaching, people have preconceived notions that will overwhelm their senses, and then they're closed off to listening. And think about like a political thing. If you say like the Republican Party, you get like a million visions inside your head, and like you can't listen to new information about it because you have so much preconceived information. So it's the same, believe it or not, with a lot of other concepts as well, like business coaching, like door-to-door marketing, like financial literacy. So we approach them very carefully. And in particular for self-limiting beliefs, we start by addressing the problem with a couple of videos, like kind of a little video series that just like really gently introduces you to what it is and what it might be doing and how it might be holding you back, and really showing examples of other people where they were able to get out of their own way. But then most importantly, we pair that with coaching, like one-on-one coaching with clients. Even our smallest clients just getting started, we've found how important one-on-one coaching is, where someone can get on with one of our coaches who's like either run or sold a 7-figure business, and just work through these things on an individual level. And we didn't always have one-on-one coaching because providing one-on-one coaching is expensive. But we've realized the importance of it, and without even raising our prices, we just kind of absorb the cost. We would now provide one-on-one coaching to all of our clients because of the result that it gets. And like it's been really cool. So those kind of are the main ways that we start to address that.
What would you say in your experience, if you could have kind of a list of the top 5 kind of, you know, quoted self-limiting beliefs that maybe are like, are there ones that are common to our industry? Are there common ones to a painting company owner?
The ones that come to mind, I'm sure we do have them somewhere. I don't do too much of the one-on-one. I don't really do any of the one-on-one coaching anymore. I do like the group stuff, some of the advanced stuff. But we have things like, that won't work in my area. My business is different. There are external factors as to why I'm broke, right? It's not my fault. I think pretty much everything, or most of them at least, I don't like to use absolutes, but like most, I think, come down to not taking accountability for your situation. Like if you can say, everything is my fault and it's simultaneously in my control, then it's crazy how much you can actually accomplish with that belief. But as soon as you tell yourself, I can't because of an external factor, well, you're fucked. Because it's true. So I was at, you wanted to talk about this a little bit, but this actually brings up a good point. So last week I was in Las Vegas. I went to Alex Hormozy's acquisition.com, whatever, mastermind. Yeah. And one of the things that he said about head trash, and we're in this room of 100 other 7-figure plus business owners, and he's answering this question for this one girl, and he's like, what was it? She said back as to like this external reason why she wasn't able to grow a business. She's like, there aren't, maybe it's like Facebook won't work for me or something like that, or like there aren't any more customers. Like
Real quick, for anybody, just give the 10 seconds, 50 seconds. Who's Alex Hormozy? Just in case anybody doesn't know.
Okay. Alex Hormozy found a gym launch, which was like a coaching thing in the gym space. He sold it for like $50 million, and then he started acquisition.com, and he built that up to a portfolio of like $200 million or something. And now they invest in companies and grow them. He's like the biggest thing since sliced bread in the online marketing space and online business space right now.
Awesome. Yeah, great. A lot of guys in that space, so just a plug, are a lot of Sizzle and No Stake. I think he's a guy who there's a lot of substance to the stuff that he talks about. So he puts out a lot of content, but it's like there's substance there. So anyway, so cool. So this is like a mastermind. So he's answering this question with the scale.
And he's like, she gave some excuse as to why her business isn't going to be able to grow. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then in front of everyone, he just like looks at her and he's like, all right, you're right. You can't do it, I guess. Okay, next question. It's like if you succumb to your own beliefs and say why you can't do something, then of course you're not going to be able to do it. Right? You're the first one who gets to decide if something's going to work or not.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think a concept that's helpful for me, I think marriage was honestly what taught me this. And like having kids, like being a father and a husband, but I think it absolutely applies to owning a business. You have to be able to distinguish between responsibility and fault. So not everything is your fault. So in terms of like feeling bad or sorry for yourself or whatever, like there are things that are not your fault, but if you're a husband, if you're a father, certainly if you're a business owner, everything is your responsibility. And so it just doesn't do anything to fulfill your responsibility, to complain, to not own it or whatever. It's just like if you're a business owner, everything's your responsibility. So you have to be about solving it. You have to be about moving it forward. And I think it is helpful to like some of these fears or insecurities or excuses, you kind of take them to their logical conclusion, and it kind of like shows the emperor doesn't have any clothes. It's like this. Okay, so now what? You know, super helpful. So that's great that he did that.
Yeah, yeah. And it happens so often too for our clients, even after they go through it and working with us for a little while, or specifically in some places in like Florida or New York, to call out two specific states, they're like, my city's different. These aren't going to work for me. It's like, well, you know what? If you look I was going to say look in the phone book. If you look online, there's 100 other painting companies that are all doing probably over 10 million a year.
Sure.
So if they can do it, why can't you? Right? It's like, oh, there's too many painters in my area. That means we can't get any work, right? Well, if there's too many painters in your area, that means there's a lot of work. You just got to do it a bit better than them.
Totally.
Be aggressive. Ask for the sale. Oh, I don't want to be salesy. Well, guess you don't want to have a business.
Yeah. How about this? What would you say, in your experience with the things that you guys are doing with your clients, what are maybe common strategies or practices, things that you are encouraging your clients to do that they don't do, that you feel like if they did, it would make like a huge difference? Like what are the most common things people don't execute on that they really, really should?
Yeah. Everyone should be posting on social media 10 times a day, running Facebook. No, just kidding. So the thing that they should be doing is like, and it's crazy, is some people don't do this, but like have a bookkeeper and look at your financials every week.
That's so good.
Like, it's so simple, but like so many people don't do that. They're like, oh, I'm too small for a bookkeeper. I don't want to pay the expense. You don't want to pay the $300 a month you need for a bookkeeper to like just reconcile your transactions so that you can look at accurate financial statements. It's like, it's such a little cost, and the amount that it's going to save you and give you good data. The other is, for a lot of contractors, they look at the balance in their bank account and equate that to how much money they have. And so that's not a way to run a business. It's like, oh, the amount of money you have in my bank account is how much I just got a $20K check. My account's at $32,000. Oh, I'm feeling good, honey. Let's go get steaks tonight. It's like, okay, do you understand debits and credits? And so in simple terms, debits and credits is like, how much do you owe and how much are you owed, right? Or like AR and AP, accounts receivable, accounts payable. So if you have $32,000, but you owe $22,000, you only have $10,000. So this is where we use a balance sheet, just looking at a balance sheet on a monthly basis to see how much money you have, how many people you owe, how many people owe you, and then what's your total after that. And that gives you a good snapshot on how much money you actually have in your business, not the number in your bank account.
Yeah, another layer to that too is tracking deposits separately. So if you take deposits, and so part of that 20,000 or whatever is, $5,000, $10,000 of deposits, which we're big believers in deposits in all of our businesses that we are in.
Highly recommend.
We want that. But just understanding like that is like, it's not your money to go spend. Like you need to be mindful of that even, right? If a client backs out, and you need to return $2,000, but it was your money to spend.
Now it's the concept of a liability and an asset, right? And now this is still on the balance sheet. So an accounts payable, so how much you owe someone is a liability, but also cash that you have on your books that is a deposit, work to be done, is also a liability. So there's two different things, and that's why knowing and understanding financial frameworks is so important, because if you don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability and a debit and a credit and accounts receivable, account payable, like you'll never run a 7-figure business. It's just, you won't do it because you need these fundamentals.
Yeah, man. And it's kind of like, should sports games be played without keeping the score? It's kind of like, would you, like, how many games do you play? Like, oh, let's play whatever card game, whatever board game. But like, let's not keep track of any points scored. Let's not keep track. It's just like, whenever you apply that practice in other contexts, you see how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, this is not related really at all, but my daughter's 5, and she played this little soccer tournament, and she got a medal at the end of it because everyone got a medal. And she goes, Daddy, I won a medal. And I'm like, hey, I got to get ahead of this. Honey, she's 5. I'm like, honey, you didn't win a medal. You got a medal. Once you do something and you win it, you'll get a medal. But this one, like, everyone got the medal. Like, it's like, it's special that you got a medal, but you didn't win it. And like, it's hard. It's like, I was like, as a father, I got to do something. I can't just let her say she won a medal. Cause like, you know, the whole millennial thing or whatever, like, anyway, getting in front of that.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's the same thing. And again, it's funny because, and I don't say this to beat up on folks, because I know, as you know well too, like, especially, you know, early on, owner operator, even if you're not painting, you're selling jobs, you're doing a million things. It's just hard to carve out the time, right? And it can be overwhelming, and that's not something
that you don't know what you don't know, and it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility.
Exactly, totally, man. And it is helpful to look in other contexts and kind of see that, and that gets even to that self-awareness piece. Like, yeah, you look at, you know, everybody gets trophies, and oftentimes the same guys who look at that and be like, oh, that's ridiculous, they shouldn't do that. It's kind of like, well, you're not really keeping track of yourself. Like, you're not keeping track of your own business. You kind of want a world where everybody gets trophies. That's kind of how you're living, a little bit, because it can be peaceful, or it can be easier. Yeah, man. So important to track numbers and look at things.
So I guess back to what you said before, like the other things that people that we're teaching people that like they don't know that they should know. So like financial literacy, that's one huge one. If we go more like just like go back to like the business basics and the tactical thing, and if you're listening to this podcast, you're a forward-thinking painting contractor who's trying to grow their business, and that's really great and good for you and all that stuff. But if you're not presenting your quote on the spot and asking for the job and giving them the price, you don't go home and write up the quote and email or text them or whatever, but like you go to your truck, takes 20 or 30 minutes, you write up your proposal, you use your drip jobs or whatever you're using, you go back in and you present to both homeowners and you ask for the job and you walk away with a deposit check. If it's 2024 and you're not doing that yet, then what are you doing?
Now, let's lean into that, because I think there's misconceptions around that. Like, like why? Like, tell me more of like why. What am I leaving on the table? Like, what am I missing out on if I don't present on the spot and ask for the job?
Yeah, so it's twofold. The first is that you're losing out on potential sales because you're not giving the client an opportunity to ask questions about your price. You know, your price, it might be a $10,000 job or a $20,000 job that you're bidding on. You know, even if it's $2,000, right? Small job, you know, in the grand scheme of things, but like, would you buy something with $2,000 without having a chance to ask any questions about it? Like, probably not. So I'll give you an example. A couple months ago, I had to get like our tub fixed. The tub was broken for like a couple years. We didn't use it. We're selling this house. We got to get the tub fixed. So guy comes by, looks at the tub. It's like, cool, get you a quote. A couple days later, get an email quote. And I thought it was going to be like $500. Anyway, quote comes back. It's like $1,200. Like, what the heck are they doing for $1,200? And it's like, this is something I need to do. And I need to get the tub fixed because we're selling the house. And I let the quote sit in my inbox for weeks. And then one day, Carl from the office gave me a call and said, hey, just following up on this quote, wonder if you have any. I'm like, okay, great. I have some questions about, and like I asked some questions. I told him about the parts and stuff. I'm like, okay, fine, let's do it. But they could have saved the time, booked it sooner, got the job done, increased their cash flow cycle, you know, had a higher close rate if they just spent 10 minutes, looked up the part list, gave me the quote on the spot, explained the price, walked away with a deposit check. And like, so as a consumer, not only is it a better experience, sorry, not only is it better for the business, but it's also a better experience for the consumer. Because I'm not sitting looking at my inbox all frustrated because I don't know where the price is coming from. And the second part is that it saves you time. So many contractors that I know come into the program and they're like, I'm so busy all the time. Okay, what are you doing? It's like, well, I spend every night doing quotes. Like from 8 to 10 p.m., I'm just writing up quotes. It's like, okay, well, imagine if you only had to do half the number of quotes and you just did them all on the spot. because you're closing a higher rate and you're done. Then you reduce all this like evening work. And now in the evenings, you can spend time with your spouse or with your kids. Wouldn't that be better than sitting in your office and writing out quotes? So you get your time back, you respect the customer more, you close at a higher rate. There is no downside.
Yeah. Just to validate and piggyback, man, like I think to your point, we all experience this if we put ourselves in the shoes. It's a way better experience from a customer standpoint if you get all the knowledge you want. And what is the number one thing they want to know in most cases is like, how much does this cost? Now, we know that's not always the most important thing. So it's our job to help them understand all the factors that they need to weigh. Price isn't the only thing that they should make their decision on. But that's very important. So it's like delaying that, putting more time, making that harder for them to get their hands on. There's an experiential element too. But I think something that's underappreciated, and you were touching on this, it's kind of like a batting average in baseball. It's like presenting on the spot and asking for the sale does not mean you don't do that so that you can have a 99% close rate on the spot. That's not real. Like at least in our experience, like I think we do a pretty good job of sales. So whenever I think presenting on the spot, and you let me know if you agree with this or you've seen this, it raises your overall close rate, not necessarily because you now are all of a sudden closing all of your work on the spot. That does happen. You do get a little bit of an uptick in that, but it's because you have the opportunity to engage in the objections in person and build way more confidence with the guy that just emails the quote. So maybe they don't necessarily say, all right, let's do this on the spot. You ask for the job, they pulls their objections, you get to engage with them. Hey, I do still need a couple more days to think about this. Okay, great. You follow up in 2 days, but because you asked for the job on one, you were there, you pulled something, you engaged at a deeper level. So then 2 days, they are ready to book with you. And if you wouldn't have done that, who knows how they would have made their decision. And so I think your close rate elevates because you get to sell more. And I think that's something people don't appreciate. It's not the sale that day. Like you're asking, it's like a means to an end in some ways.
So I think that one word that we're missing here is that the clients aren't looking for the cheapest price, but they're looking for the highest value. Mm-hmm. And by presenting on the spot, by giving them a chance to answer questions, you're now increasing the perceived value that you are quoting on. A lot of clients will come into the program and say, hey, we are getting underbid all the time. Guys are coming in and they're cutting our prices in half. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, you're the only one in the country where that's the case. So I guess life sucks, right? No, it's about how can you increase your value in relation to the other people that are providing services. And so these other clients are coming in and they're writing on the napkin, we're going to do it for $2,000. It's like, okay, well, what does that include? What type of paint are you using? What type of preps are you using? Do you have a guarantee? Do you have a warranty? What's the communication look like? Are you professional? Do you have a tax receipt? Do you have insurance? Do you have all this stuff? And these things matter. And so if you're trying to be a professional painting organization and you have all of these things and you're not presenting them and show it, these things matter to clients. So show them and talk about them. And most importantly, ask the clients what's important to them when choosing a painting contractor. And I bet 9 out of 10 times, in fact, I know 9 out of 10 times, they're not going to say price. You'll get 1 out of 10 that says, literally, I just need these done as cheaply as possible. Slap the cheapest paint you can on. That's not your customer. And that's fine. But the other 9 will say something else. We want a clean job site. We want good communication. We want, painters who are presentable. We had a really bad experience with X, Y, and Z, and so we don't want to repeat that. Great. Let's build value around those things.
Yeah, totally, man. And again, it's kind of like that scenario where you have somebody who maybe they had kind of a lowball type contractor and they walked around, they wrote it on a napkin, but they sounded really confident, right? And then you just email them a professional detailed proposal that's double the price. Now they're kind of left to their own devices to make that determination or whatnot. Whereas if you ask in person, you give them the opportunity to say, hey, let me level with you, right? You do seem way more professional, but his is half the price. How do I, and then you can speak to those things directly. And again, maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that they book right then and there, but then now you've triggered them to go back to that guy, ask about his warranty, ask about the products he's using, ask about X, Y, and Z, and then they get to experience him fumble over his words, and it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't do those things, and okay, now let's book with you, right? But if you might have put them, they're going to roll the dice maybe if they didn't know, you didn't educate them on those differences. So there's so much good to it. People need to do this.
Can I give away something to anyone listening?
For sure.
So I just put together a mini course that's their full sales framework. Like, it's part of our paid program, but like we broke this off as just a separate kind of value add for anyone interested, want to see what we do and learn how to do a sales system. So we call it our 7-figure sales mini course, and we're giving it away for free right now. So I can give you the link and you can put it in the description or whatever.
Perfect.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, we'll add
like
that
your
to the show
setup
notes
call
for
script.
sure.
It's got the how to do the estimate, what to say, different sheets to help you with it, different cheat sheets and worksheets, and just designed to kind of be an all-in-one thing just to help you put in a professional sales system in your business.
Love it. Absolutely, man. Thank you for that. We'll add that to the show notes for sure.
Cool.
One of the things, maybe somewhat along these lines of what are people not doing that they should, I think a good coach should really help in two areas, and maybe this is oversimplifying. This isn't the whole picture, but it's like knowledge and execution. Like, they should help you close gaps in knowledge, which you talked about. That was like a big passion and kind of a mission of how to, teaching people things they don't know. Execution is another element, like getting people to execute.
Accountability.
Talk to me more about that, man. Like the importance of accountability, and just like, how are you guys helping your people execute? Not just know, but do.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, right? So another thing that Hormozi is a big proponent of is that you should give away all your best information for free. So give away the information and sell the implementation. And so we're big proponents of that too. So if you snoop around our website or online or YouTube videos, descriptions, you'll find like a lot of this stuff that we have like behind our paywall in our program that you'll be able to get for free, because we just like give away so much of our content for free. But what you don't get, what you just cannot get for free, is this one-on-one support, the implementation guidance, the calls, the coaching, the accountability, the community. Like, we have a community of over 300 painting contractors who are all working together, asking questions, sharing best practices, sharing wins. So we have a huge culture of accountability, and we've been working really hard to build that. And if you don't do something, multiple times in a row after I or someone else suggests it, like, and you tell me that you want it and you're committed, like, we'll call you out. We'll call you out in front of your peers. And it's not comfortable to get called out in front of your peers for something that you should do, that that you should be doing, right? There was a client that I recently called out, and he's just like, he's a really great guy, but like, I had this one system that I was trying to get him to do, was around like commercial repaint work. And for, I think it was 3 weeks in a row, I'm like, hey, did you do this thing? And all it was listen to this series of videos while you're driving.
Sure. Right?
And I'm like, did you do it? No. I'm like, okay, do you know how to log in? Yeah. Can you log in on your phone? Yeah. So there's no roadblocks. Okay. Next week, did you listen to this? Come on, man. And then the next week I was like, did you do this yet? And he's like, no, I haven't. I've been busy. And so I just called him out in front of 4 other guys. And it wasn't comfortable. And he was like a military dude, and he's used to directing other guys, and to be called out like that for something that you should be doing, it is not comfortable. But I bet you next week it's going to be done, because he's not going to want that again.
Yeah, totally, man. I think the peer component is important. I also think, just a plug for coaching, I think having spent that money, like, I don't think that we do that well with choices. So I think our culture is bearing this out. Like, you go to the grocery store, you have tons of choices. You go on Netflix, you have tons of choices. You open up YouTube, you have tons of choices. Like, in some ways that's nice. In a lot of ways it's paralyzing. and you don't know, what to do, or, all right, I could do this, I could do that. But that's also, I think, where coaching is really helpful. Of, you have spent money, like you made the investment, that money's gone, and it's like it's a scenario where your choice is taken away with those dollars.
Yeah.
You've made the choice for those dollars, and that
There's
can
two
help
parts
it.
there. One, you said, when you pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you pay something, and like I've had people come in who literally sell their 401k to join our program, I guarantee that they're going to listen to every word that I have to say, and they're going to do it, and they're going to be successful. Right? We've given our program away for free 3 times. Every single one of those times, the guys dropped off and not followed through and not done it and not participated.
Sure.
So that's one. And then, okay, wait, what was the other one? When you pay. Oh, and the other one was curation. So we're not in a world where there's absence of information. You could find every single thing that I teach on YouTube. But the problem with YouTube is like something like 1 million hours gets uploaded every single day. It's like, how are you going to find it? Needle in a haystack type thing. And then you find information. They got rid of the dislike bar. Is this good information? Is this bad information? Are they trying to sell me something, else on the back end? Like, are they hiding something? You don't have that ability to have curated information. So that's also what you get. You get the coaching, you get the support, you pay attention, but you also get the curated content. You know that everything you're looking at is good and worthy because it's been battle proven.
Yeah, that's so good, man. Maybe, so speaking of that, like, I think part of going to that mastermind, that Horoi Mastermind, was probably part of that for you. Like, you want to get into a place, you're sacrificing time. I imagine there was some financial investment to go to that. How were you helped? Like, what was kind of, what did that do for you? What were some takeaways? Yeah. What was your own experience kind of like putting your money where your mouth is and like going to improve yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I heavily invest in coaching. My current coach that I'm with is $42,000 a year. And then this Horoi event, it was $5,000 per ticket. I bought 2 tickets, me and a coach on our team, Jesse. And then our flights and our hotel, we were almost, 18, 20 grand in for this 2-day event. And it was, at the start, actually, it started out very slow. It started out with literally business basics that they're walking us through with their own kind of frameworks and stuff. And like Jesse and I at the start were like, man, this is way too basic for us. Like, we know these things. We know what EBITDA is. We know what, all these concepts are. And then as we kept on going, we like just had a conversation and we're like, let's put our ego to the side for a minute, because there has to be a reason that they're teaching us these things. And maybe business is simple. And maybe we just need to listen, like, open-minded, even though these are things that we already know, because maybe there's something they're trying to tell us here. And so we did that. We put our egos to the side and we listened open-minded. And then those 2 days, last Monday and Tuesday, we ended up with actually 3 enormous takeaways that I think are going to add like literally millions of dollars to our business and to our clients' businesses. And basically, if I got to pull up my notes from that event. Notes from the
I'd love to hear whatever you'd be willing to share.
Yeah, so the basic summary was, so first one was, this is like internet. I don't like to call myself internet marketer because I'm not. We're like more of like a business school type thing. But for online businesses, number one is, in order to like maximize our clients' lifetime value to the company, we need to get them better results. And so the way that we're going to do that is by shortening time to an activation point. So right now, how we do it when we bring on clients is we give them kind of like 1 coaching call per month. But what we want to shift to is actually like compress all of the coaching they get, double it up, and put it in the first month. So they get a coaching call per week for like the first 6 to 8 weeks. And if they can get one-on-one coaching call every week for the first 6 to 8 weeks, they're going to get way better results. They're going to get results way quicker. And they're going to stay with us for way longer because they got that result, right? The next one was some stuff around pricing, some specific strategic things around pricing. to help, both our clients and our back end business. Because when our business is more profitable, we're able to better invest in our clients. And we have some amazing,
Sure.
we have like 7 amazing coaches right now. I want to keep on bringing on like badass coaches, and they are expensive. So working on some pricing things. And then the third one was around a marketing tweak for me. So I still act as the like a head of marketing at Painter Growth. I'm out of a lot of roles, but I am still the head of marketing and the head of content. But for marketing, part of it was like really pushing forward that we are doing business education and creating more of these like mini courses, like these sales mini courses, and like just really being more forward with giving away more free information. So, which is obviously really great for the community and really great for prospective clients, because if we can teach them ahead of time, they come in with a foundation, they see that we know what we're talking about. And so we're really, really leaning into this free mini course thing. We actually created 4 different mini courses in the last week, just pulling our paid content and putting it together and repackaging it to help with recruiting and with financials and with sales and with leads and things like that, which I'm really excited to launch. But the sales one is ready, and so that's why I want to give it to you guys.
Awesome. I love that, man. I think that's something for us, obviously, with partnerships and getting into our partnerships are like long-term, obviously indefinite. And so a big thing for us is like, we want people to know who we are. Like both of like us and them need to be eyes wide open. So there's an element of, it kind of serves, like if I give stuff away, we try to share like our practices, what we do, how we do it. And then if that resonates with you, great. That's going to make our relationship better. If we already kind of know that resonates with you, that's helpful to you, it's a good setup. I imagine too, like if folks have consumed some of who you are and what your particular organization brings, you are both going to have a better experience, once you get into the relationship.
Yeah, you guys need to go to one of these events, like whoever the CEO is of Aleph, and I can't remember, who is it?
Chet is the CEO.
Chet, and maybe you
Chet
or whoever
Funk.
should go to. Yeah, we've spoken actually before. You guys should go to the mastermind, because like what they're doing, what acquisition.com is doing is investing in, like, they're helping small businesses grow, get to about $1 million EBIT, and then invest in those companies. And they're really, and I know Chet's really good at this because we talked about it, but Hormozi and their team are really good at structuring deals. So it's actually like very little, like not cash intensive. And so they put a little bit of cash down on these businesses, but they will like take a majority stake with almost no cash down for businesses that are cash flowing $1 million a year, and instead value the services that they're providing the businesses, and the future cash flows that the business are going to create as that like value add. And it's just like, it's so genius because they're not putting in like $5 million per acquisition. They're putting in like maybe 1 million, and they're getting this business that's cash flowing $1 million. It's crazy. So I think that you guys should check out what they're doing on that.
What's beautiful about that, and this again, I kind of made that comment of, I think there's a lot of substance to Hormozi. What's beautiful about that, just as you describe that, maybe that sounds like, oh, Hormozi's making out like a bandit, in that scenario. On a surface level, that could seem that way. But here's the reality, like, especially for a lot of these small businesses, cash doesn't solve all your problems. Like, somebody could write you a check for $1 million, and if your operations are garbage, if you don't have any leaders in your organization, it's nice to have cash, but it's not very useful if you don't have the systems and stuff. So it makes sense. It's good. It's a good scenario. I'm just saying, like, the systems and the structures and the infrastructure that Hormozi brings, I would imagine, is what the real value is, not his checkbook. His checkbook is not as valuable as what he can actually prop up in your business. So I think
it's a great model, though. I mean, absolutely, it'd be an excellent deal for the business owners who are doing it. But it's just nice that it's not capital intensive for them to be able to do that. It's just a cool model to see. And as someone who's just kind of venturing into the whole capital market game, it's cool to see these types of deals and know that that's possible.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. what do you have coming up? Anything like events or anything like that? I think you guys had a event not too long ago.
In
Is there
April,
anything
yeah,
else?
we're in Minneapolis in April.
Yeah, yeah.
Our next mastermind is going to be in Phoenix in
Okay.
October. So October 17th and 18th in Old Town Scottsdale. Believe
Cool.
Jason's already confirmed for that. We
Let's go.
have two more big name speakers that I'm not announcing right now. We're going to come there. But
All right, good.
the reason people come to these masterminds is not to hear a speaker speak, but it's to work on your business. So the whole 2 days, it's a Thursday and Friday, it's all structured around working on your business, working on your goals, your challenges, masterminding them with other people. We'll have 5 coaches there working with everyone. This one's going to be between 40 and 50 people. We don't typically accept anyone from who isn't in our program, but we are accepting 5 for this one, just for people to kind of come in and check it out. So I can
Nice.
give you a link for that too. It's paintergrowth.com/mastermind. You can learn
Great.
about that. And if you do buy a ticket on the website, we will call you and vet you and make sure that you're legit. And before, like, we might refund you if you're not the right type of person. But just protecting the community, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Cool. Well, definitely give me that link. Give me a link to the sales course. Definitely want to get that in folks' hands. And then, any other, do you want to direct anybody anywhere else? I'm guessing just your website. Like if folks want to learn more, like where can people learn more about you? And if they want to reach out, what's the best way to do that?
You can email me directly. My email is mike@paintergrowth.com. If I'm busy, I might send you to my director of sales or something like that. But if I can, I'll do my best to reply to every email. Mike@paintergrowth.com. Just check out the sales course if you like it. Want to learn more, then great. But if not, then just check out my podcast. If you like podcasts, Painter Growth Podcast. It's a pretty fun one. We do 3 episodes a week. So
Awesome, man. I love it. Hey, man, thanks for making some time to come on here. Always enjoy talking to you. We'll have to do it again sometime.
100%. Thanks a lot, Haakon.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.